Hello everyone, my name is Matthias CZ01 and it's been a very long time since I've posted anything on YouTube. I do apologize for kind of me being quiet for a while, but as you all know, life's been pretty busy and 2022 has been so far a pretty interesting and busy year with, COVID and the war in Ukraine and everything else going on. And I haven't really found myself having a lot of time to play a lot of Company of Heroes. So what I'm going to be doing today is doing a replay review of a game that I've played about a few months ago. So I kind of saved it and kind of just left it in my folders. So I kind of wanted to bring up this game because it was really interesting, and I kind of wanted to show you how allies can kind of win in a really late game scenario. And so I hope you will all find this very entertaining today. So today I'm going to be playing as the British on Via River Valley with my good friend Jimmy, who I've played multiple games with. Jimmy is playing as the Americans and I'm playing as the British, while I am facing off against a friend of mine by the name of Bart, who's also another good player who I actually know as well. So we just happen to play in the same game. He will be playing as Wehrmacht, and then there is this Panzerleague guy, Panzerleague player by the name of Vaterstadt. I'm not sure if I pronounced that correctly or not. And he's playing as Panzerleague on this side of the map, which is a little bit different from the norm. Normally you would see Panzerleague being played in this position here, and Wehrmacht would play here instead. And so in typical British fashion, what you want to do as the Allies is you want to push across these bridgeheads as soon as you can and try and kind of settle yourself here as soon as you can. So I like to, personally, in my tactics, I like to rush for this ammo point and cap with the field support truck using speed governs, which increases the speed for this command truck to kind of really blaze through this road here and get here as soon as you can. Early mortar pits coming up to stop any MG pushes or knock out any MG bunkers that are covering this field, because ultimately this is the goal for the Allies to take. Taking this ammo is nice, but ultimately, via River Valley, it all depends upon taking this one point here as allies. Because it's a medium fuel point, that's 10, and if they happen to OP it, it actually becomes 18, which gives them a lot of fuel. You can see Jimmy here's already on behind our lines, already OPing this, which is really helpful. And so Jimmy's building a machine gun here to secure his crossing here, so the enemy can't push him back necessarily and build a bunch of tank traps, because that's usually the worst case scenario if the Axis can push the Allies both back across this bridge and back across this river crossing here and just fortifying it. Because when that happens, it just really becomes a hard stalemate. And Germans really like to play for the late game advantage. So for them, being defensive and biding their time is really winning. So in most games as allies, you'll see a lot more aggressive play. And so right now it looks like the battle lines are kind of being drawn here. Fuel point has been OP'd by this little marker that you can see, the second flag. And it's been OP'd by a scout car. So the PE went tier 1 and he went tier 2 building. So Comfort Group Company and the Logistic Company. And it looks like he is playing as Scorched Earth. So he's building a bunch of these tank traps. So he's blocked this bridge off. And he's blocking off this section. So there's really going to be no pushing from this side of the map. So all the fighting is going to be here. Mortar pit finally takes down the bunker here, but I can't cap this VP point, at least not yet, not until this scout car has been dealt with. And so far, this is actually kind of winning for the Germans. As long as they can hold on to this field point and then can kind of contain control of these two little farmsteads here, all will be very well. And there's a lot of tank traps here that's trying to prevent any vehicles from pushing in from this main road here. And this guy is really going overboard on the roadblocks here. The roadblocks also provide green cover as well, so it's a good place to fight with your infantry to kind of hold the enemy back. Jimmy snipes engineers trying to build barbed wire. And so I just built a machine gun and I got 2 mortars and I'm shelling the enemy to death. I think I went for Royal Artillery this game as the British. That's why I went double mortar pit for the supercharged rounds. And if I remember correctly, I think Jimmy went for armor. That's why he OP'd the early fuel. So I'm going to be capping this with my field support truck, so Jimmy doesn't have to cap everything. And right now, we're just kind of trying to push here with me and Jimmy, because we really want to get rid of the scout car, because we really need to take this field point from the enemy. But these mortar pits are really making it rough for the enemy to kind of hold on, so they're being slowly but surely pushed back. Mortar half-tracks out, which is going to be super annoying to deal with. And the first pack is out. Oh, looks like machine gun team got wasted, sadly. From Bart. Yeah, he's dead. So 2 scout cars, so he OP'd this fuel and he OP'd that fuel, so Germans are definitely getting a lot of fuel income. They're getting 31, while me and Jimmy as the allies are only getting 28. Because we only OP'd this one fuel point, we didn't really OP this one just yet. And this is pretty normal, this is pretty meta. Just allies constantly trying to push in while the Germans are trying to defend what they've got. This guy's really liking these tank traps, so is this guy, he's building more as well. First armored car out by this guy, so he also went tier 3 as well for the Panzerjäger command. While Bart here went Krieg barracks with packs, which is pretty standard. So, repair bunkers are up. They're going to try and repair these vehicles here so this scout car can stay here. But he also got another scout car as well to make sure that this point remains in Axis hands. First car eventually got destroyed by Bren carrier using armor-piercing rounds. And it's a pretty even toss-up fight between an armored car and a Bren. If the Bren carrier is using those AP rounds, it can really tear the scout car, or not the scout car, the armored car a new asshole. But the best way to break this, honestly, is just artillery. That's why I went Royal Artillery. So the first 25 pounders are going to be coming up and shelling the enemy to death. More tank traps. The biggest fear right now for allies is like a Stug rush. Or not Stug, Stu 42 rush. The it's that one Stug with the giant-ass howitzer gun. That's really good. But I think Jimmy's teching. Yeah, he's got a tank depot, so he's going to get a tank real soon. Yep, first N10's coming out. And, I called it. So this guy is going for Blitzkrieg. So Bart can possibly deploy some Stormtroopers, which can be pretty tedious and annoying to deal with as well. Stormtroopers with Shreks can actually wipe out all these emplacements, even the 25-pounder with ease. But they gotta get in there first. But so far, the Germans have been holding pretty good. Mortar crew from Bart. You don't usually see Wehrmacht mortars, but they are pretty good. Though mortar half-track is usually just better in every single way. First 25-pounder is out. I was trying to hit the machine gun, actually, inside this building, but it got a lucky shot off on that mortar. Ooh. Bart lost his mortar. Germans are starting to feel the pressure now. And it looks like that second scout car is about to get knocked out, and this point's going to be open to being capped. So I immediately start trying to cap this just to make sure that there's no other armored cars that can kind of secure the fuel point from here like before. Jimmy's N10 will definitely stop the enemy from pushing in, however, it's kind of hard for him to actually push into the enemy because all these packs are set up, so it's going to be on the artillery player, like me, to get rid of all of these support weapons. Ooh, sniper got sniped by a Panzerschreck. It's very unfortunate. And He also got a nice lucky shot off on that Bren carrier. It's gone, but fuel's decapped, and the Axis have their fuel income literally halved because they're getting 10 right now, and me and Jimmy are currently getting 31 because both of these are now OP'd. So me and Jimmy are going to tech up a lot faster than the Axis. Martyr's been called out as well. I think he was hoping to get the Martyr to kind of move in here and snipe these mortar pits. And the machine gun bunker. Looks like one of the mortar pits got destroyed. I can't remember how it got annihilated. Probably from the Martyr. Did it? Yeah, it's got one building kill. You can see right here. So that's what probably killed the mortar pit. The first Stu-42 is out from the Wehrmacht player, from Bart. And the Stu-42 is really good against Brits. It's very good at kind of cracking open a British defensive line here and kind of just pushing towards their main base. Because the Stus will absolutely annihilate any emplacements or even 17-pounders that you can build. But right now, artillery is just making life miserable for the Germans. First pack crew got annihilated. But the Martyr's still here in the back, which is going to be an issue. So Jimmy is just trying to build up as many M10s as he can before he makes his push into this area. Armored cars still out here. More tank traps being built here. I'm guessing the Panzerly player doesn't want Jimmy to kind of move in with his M10s and kind of do like circling movements around this little village here. But tank movement's pretty limited here, to be honest, with all these tank traps. And he's building more. Unfortunate, M10 gets killed, but Allied War Machine is up, which replenishes the ranks of Jimmy's tanks that get destroyed. It's not cheap, but it is definitely worth it. Especially if you got a lot of ammo. Pack being picked off by artillery, dead. And Panzerleach is building more tank traps. It's pretty fucking annoying if I remember correctly. But it looked like he kind of knew where that sniper was going. I think, yeah, he has a vampire. That's probably why. The vampire can be used to detect stuff on the minimap, such as snipers. And Jimmy's trying to get rid of that vampire. I don't know if he gets it or not. Nah, looks like he's gonna make it. No, it actually gets destroyed. Ooh, rifleman. Or the infantry section's got him. So it's pretty smart. He kind of left the half track here, the vampire, because if you leave it in this territory, you actually siphon fuel off from this point, so you'll get half of the fuel from this point if it's capped by the enemy. But he lost it, sadly. Germans are still trying to hold. M10s are coming in again, but this whole area, again, is blocked off by more tank traps. That's really annoying. There's really nothing we can do about these roadblocks, because demo charges can be placed on them, or cannot, because it just doesn't count as a... I don't know, it doesn't count as an entity, I guess, because you can, as the Americans, you can place normal demo traps on these, but you can't do it on the roadblocks for some reason. Jimmy's coming in with M10s. Martyr gets destroyed. Hopefully he might even kill the Stu-42. That'd be a huge win. But all the packs are now being recruited by the enemy. It's a lot of bounces on the Stu-42. It's very unfortunate. Artillery coming in again to stop the packs from firing. I don't know if he actually manages to kill this tank or not. One more shot. Pack decrewed. Panzer Grenadiers trying to come in here to take out the tank. Stu does go down, which is really unfortunate for Bart. Looks like the Wehrmacht player is really under a lot of pressure just because it really doesn't matter how many packs you go as long as there's an artillery player, like a British player. And I already built 3 25-pounders here. He's just going to get shelled to shit. So here you go, Stormtroopers. That's a smart choice. Yeah, so he got another Vampire half-track. He's siphoning fuel from that point, but it doesn't really matter. We have a lot of fuel as it is right now on the other side of the map. The only issue is they can see all of this that we have here on the mini-map. I wonder if you can show. Yeah, so you can actually see on the mini-map here from the Vampire half-track of what the enemy has, but that's kind of a risky position to leave the Vampire in, just because it's so close to the front. M10's coming in again, however there's a shit ton of Panzerschrecks here, from Stormtroopers and Panzer Grenadiers as well. I was trying to push in here with my own infantry, but this mortar half-track is really annoying. I mean, it's already Vet 2, and it actually happened to snipe, I think, one of my lieutenants as well, so I'm forced to retreat. Jimmy takes out the Krieg barracks, so there's going to be no Stukas or packs, which is really good. Though these M10s aren't really... they can't really deal with all these Panzerschreck teams, so they're just going to have to run away. But Jimmy's getting all his tanks back. And there it goes. And so at this point, I'm just kind of shelling his base because there aren't really any other good targets. Maybe this bunker here, but hopefully this M10 takes out this annoying-ass mortar half-track. But right now, it seems like the Panzerleet player, he's got all the buildings, so he must have teched up. And he's probably getting the Panther battle group up, so he's getting the tech research for that right now. So he's going to have Panther battle groups out as well, and Hummels. So he just needs to save the manpower to get it. So Bart right now is going for Panzer Command right now, so he's fully teched up as well. But it did take them a lot of time to get there. The only issue is he's really got no fuel. He's maybe got enough fuel for one Panther. Either that or he might get some veterancy upgrades for his infantry or other units. But the lack of fuel from the Germans is really hurting them right now. And even Jimmy, to kind of spite the enemy, built observation post here. So now we are getting a lot of fuel right now. Yeah, 49 to 13. Oof, that's really rough. So Jimmy keeps spamming N10s, and that's pretty normal, honestly, for Armor Company. Because we haven't seen the Panthers yet, so we're going to predict that the Panther battle group is going to be coming out, and... oh, here it is. The only issue is this guy's really being annoying, building all of these fucking roadblocks everywhere, which is just super cancerous. But speaking of cancer, British artillery can be annoying as hell, too. Creeping barrage trying to wipe out the mortar half-tracks, but nicely dodged by the PE player. But first Calliope is out by Jimmy, which is going to be also pretty tedious and annoying for the PE player to deal with. Because these things will wipe out infantry squads, no problem. What am I hitting? I think I'm trying to hit this machine gun in this building. Vampire half-track placed on the hill trying to get a view of what we've got. But backs the hell off. I'm trying to slip through here to hopefully take out the mortar half-track, but also cap this ammunition point as well. Though I don't think that's going to actually happen. Yeah, I got nothing to do with this infantry right now. Right now my goal is just to keep shelling the enemy to death and get more priests, but also at the same time tech up to fireflies as well. The only issue is this takes a lot of time to build your force up. But right now it really looks like allies are kind of, at least me and Jimmy are doing pretty well, especially since we're holding this fuel and this ammo point. I build a 17-pounder because I'm afraid that if Jimmy happens to push in here with his M10s and loses them all, I'm not going to have anything to fall back on. P.S. are nice against tanks, however, they do have a habit of bouncing a lot of shots on off the armor of Panthers, so 17-pounder is going to have an extra punch. And we didn't really see any artillery from the enemy, at least not yet. But I'm assuming, yep, there it is, first Hummel's out. So I'm trying to shell the vampire half-track to make sure the enemy stops spotting us. I'm pretty sure he can see where Jimmy's sniper is, since he's trying to hide on that hill. Yep. So as you can see from the vampire half-track, you can see on the mini-map that there's a unit here. And this is obviously where Jimmy's sniper is. Yep. So, PE player definitely knows what the hell he's doing. But I will have to say that building all these tank traps like this is... I mean, it's not a bad thing to do in the game. Like, it's there, it's free to build. But it definitely makes the game a lot more annoying as hell. I'm not sure why he was shelling that. Probably trying to get Jimmy's M10s. And so Jimmy, out of frustration, is just trying to destroy all these tank traps. But you destroy one and he's just going to build 4 more. And this is the kind of game that this PE player really wants to play. And it's just super fucking annoying. These are people who play like Shelt maps or like Atlas River. This is how they play, and it's just fucking cancerous as hell. I personally fucking hate it. That 2 Panther out by Bart. So that's what he spent his fuel on. Honestly, I think I would have built a creep barracks and got Stukas out. Because he's saving a lot of ammo. He's got almost 800 ammo. Though Blitzkrieg Assault is pretty expensive to use. But either that or he's trying to save up his ammo for Manpower Blitz, which can give him a lot of manpower. And we got 6 M10s by Jimmy waiting to push in here. But we do know that these 2 Panthers are here. And now, since Jimmy hit that guy, we know there's a 3rd Panther out by the enemy. And more fucking tank traps. So right now, it's just kind of a stalemate so far. I mean, Jimmy has to push in all his M10s through this small little choke point, which is really not advantageous for M10s to go through, but the Panthers have really good frontal armor, so they like to just kind of stand out here in the open. But my primary concern is, A, getting rid of the mortar half-track and getting rid of the vampire half-track. Jimmy's trying to push in, but the second he sees the M10s, they just back up. And so this is kind of the unique thing that I wanted to really show about this game. So if this Panzerly player is really playing dirty with all of these fucking annoying roadblocks, I decided to kind of change up my tactics a bit. So when I'm going for the British Royal Artillery, I will normally go down the left line for the tech, which gets you priests as soon as you can. And then you go for the other side of the tech tree, which unlocks airburst shells for you. And so what I start doing here in this match is I place target zones for the airburst all around the front here. And the thing is, these roadblocks act as like a physical unit, which prompts these 25 pounders to constantly shoot their airburst shells. So the hope is here to use the airburst to slowly whittle down these roadblocks, but also to prevent this fucking Panzerly player from building more roadblocks here in the first place again. And so you're going to see the airburst shells just constantly coming in, and these Axis players are going to have a really hard time trying to maintain this front. The only issue is it's really dangerous for your own infantry to advance in here. You know, airburst in this game really does not care if it's friend or foe. It will shred infantry regardless. And so I've got 5 artillery guns right now to kind of shell the enemy into submission, because this is really a tough nut to crack. And look at this, more fucking tank traps again. But ultimately, if you have airburst and you're going Royal Artillery, what you could potentially do, and this is a tactic I personally really like, I do remember it from this game, if you're able to capture this hill point as the Allies, it's really hard to hold this point because, you know, it's a hill and you have to kind of loop around this whole way to kind of defend this zone here, while the Germans have easier access to this point. Ooh. Creeping Barrage got called in to wipe out all this infantry to stop them from building more fucking roadblocks. But anyway, where was I? Oh yeah, if you're able to cap and take this point from the enemy, the points themselves will provide like a line of sight. You know, like just this point, a small little line of sight zone. And if there's enemies that try and go and cap it, airburst shells can actually waste anyone trying to cap the point. So the hope is, right now, for me, is to rush in here, try and cap and take this point from the enemy, and just place all of my airburst artillery and tell them to defend this one ammo point. And if the Axis lose this ammo point, it's another point that they are not going to have, and they're going to have less ammo. Though I think I'm going to lose a lot of guys trying to take this point. Oof. Infantry section's getting wasted. Yeah, Stu 42 is not making this easy. So this guy with his Stu 42 is really trying to hold this front here, trying to stop me from capping this ammo point. So I do manage to decap it. Sadly, that's not what I wanted, but decapping it, it's still better than nothing. 2 Stews are out. So we got Panthers, 2 Stews, a bunch of engineer report, and a bunch of repair bunkers coming out. This Panzerly player is practically at pop cap already, can't even get anything. Decapping the points also means the enemy doesn't have as much population space to call in units. Jimmy's M10s are coming in for the kill. It looks like it's almost game over, but there's still like 30 more minutes to this game. So 2 Panthers are down. So the Panzerly lost both of his Panthers. However, this Vet 2 Panther from Bart is still hanging in there, but I'm not sure for how long. He gets surrounded by the M10s. That's really bad. Panzer Grenadiers are trying to do as much as they can to alleviate the pressure. Same thing with Stormtroopers. A lot of rounds being bounced by the M10s. He just needs one more shot. Bounce, bounce. Another fucking bounce? Jesus Christ. Panthers are so good. A 4th bounce. Alright, that one connected, but it was a damaged engine. And there we go. Finally, Panther down. So 5 M10s for 3 Panthers. That's a pretty good trade. Jimmy did get back his 2 other M10s because of Allied War Machine. But on the back foot, since the enemy was trying to deal with this, I was able to kind of sneak in here and take this point. Mortar half-track being annoying as hell. It's already Vet 3, it's been doing a lot of work. And I finally capped this point. So as you can see, the point has a little bit of a sight radius, and I immediately, these two 25-pounders, I place airburst right on this point. So it's going to be incredibly difficult for any player to kind of cap and take this zone. PE player also has sector artillery, which is pretty dangerous as well. He called it in this area here as well. So this game mode isn't really about fluid movements or engaging the enemy. It's more about a grind fest where it's just a slow war of attrition and trying to hold on to as much territory as you can. Vampire half-tracks here, siphoning resources from this point. But Germans need to take this ammo point back because they're only getting 34 ammo and 13 fuel a minute, and that's pretty rough, while me and Jimmy, we're getting 94 ammo and 49 fuel a minute. So right now, resource advantage is definitely towards the Allies. And honestly, for the Germans, they need more Stukas, they need more Hummels to kind of break the Allies' hold here. So they can push up, take this ammo back, and hopefully take this fuel back. But they're really under pressure because they're just playing super defensively right now. More tank traps are coming up again. Schwimmwagen's trying to cap the ammo zone, but that's not going to happen with the airburst. Calipes are also making life miserable for poor Bart. But, yep, that's why I called it. So he went Blitzkrieg and he's got manpower blitz, so he's getting a lot of manpower right now. But the thing is, he's got a lot of ammo to spend it on. So it's not a real big deal for him. Stukas would be nice, but the thing is, they have such low fuel that it's just... they're just going to really struggle. M10's coming in here again. It's a lot of tanks for the one Panther to deal with, so he's probably going to die horribly. Hummel's waste an engineer squad from me. Panther gets surrounded and pretty much ass-fucked, but Panthers from the PE players coming in to save the day. Another Schwimmwagen's trying to cap this ammo point, but I'm not going to let him. Especially with the airburst, it's down again, so... Germans playing defensive, but they're really struggling to keep holding on, and this is basically how you win as allies. You slowly grind them into attrition. You slowly grind them to death. It's not pretty, but... I mean, this is the way how the Germans wanted to play, by building all of these goddamn tank traps. Not tank traps, roadblocks. I mean, they function as tank traps, it's the same fucking thing. So I've got 2 priests, 3 25-pounders, 1 17-pounder. Brave Panzer Grenadiers trying to cap this ammo point. I'm not sure how long he's going to last. Yeah, not very long. Stuart armored cars really making this difficult for me to push up with my own infantry. But first Pershing is out by Jimmy, so Pershings with those M10s are going to be a real pain in the ass for the Germans to deal with. Hummel coming out and counter-shelling. So right now, the Germans, their one advantage is they've got defender's advantage, just holding on to as much as they can, but they also have a lot of repair support as well. So you can see these 3 fucking repair bunkers in the back. So any units that are damaged, they'll just bring back here and get insta-repaired. Jimmy tries to make another push, but Sector Arty is cold on this point, as you can see by this white outline, or the yellow marker on the minimap. Jimmy trying to do work and kill as many Panthers as he can. But staying inside this artillery zone is not good for him, not even if you've got tanks. But these hidden stormtroopers and these Panzergrenadiers making life a hell for Jimmy. So yeah, it looks like all of Jimmy's M10s, even the Persian gets wasted. Can he get that Panther? Nope, he cannot. So that was really rough. So one Panther for what? That was like 4 M10s and a single Pershing. That was not a good trade for Jimmy. So this is what makes it really hard for allies to push in. And again, more fucking roadblocks. Germans are really just holding on inch by inch, but they are not making this easy. But these double Calliopes being really annoying. Mortar half-tracks almost gonna get killed. One of these models has a Piat. And finally this mortar half-track goes down. It's Vet 3. This thing was really annoying and doing a lot of work. But so far I really don't have an answer to these Stu 42s. Piats are not gonna cut it against this. So I'm eventually gonna have to tech up and get Fireflies. Though the main issue is I really don't have any pop cap for this. First Firefly is out, because I'm almost maxed out at 101. But Germans aren't doing any better. Jimmy's at 91, Bart's at 54, just because they don't have map control. Stormtroopers being sneaky. Just kind of scouting out the enemy, seeing what they've got. I think he's trying to sneak in here to maybe potentially wipe out one of the 25-pounders, which would be really smart. Ooh, first Stuka's out. So it took Bart a while to get the first Stuka out, but then again, I don't blame him, because he's got no fucking fuel whatsoever to speak of. Base is getting shelled. I would like to see a Burger Tiger from this Panzerly player to revive his teammates' Panthers. Got 2 Panther wrecks right here. Bart's making full use of these destroyed tanks, getting as much ammo as he can. Shroomwagen again trying to cap, being really brave. And getting absolutely wasted. And more fucking roadblocks. Again. Look at this. It's a fucking Great Wall of China here. Or maybe I should say Siegfried line. Or the German Maginot line. Pushing here in the south is really hard because this is a very narrow point, so the geography is not really good here. And pushing across this bridge is really dangerous because Hummels can one-shot bridges and wipe out everything, so really the fighting here in the south is just a no-go. So most of the fighting is always going to be here up in the north. Counter barrage coming out. Where are they trying to shell? I guess Jimmy's Calliopes. Enemies see Jimmy's posturing for another attack. Stukas are up, which is going to be a huge issue for me and Jimmy to deal with. It's usually easier for a British player to counter barrage and take out Hummels because they have to be stationary to shoot. The half-tracks can shoot all their rockets pretty quickly and then kind of scoot and skedaddle out of the way. Ooh, first M10 got killed by stormtroopers, pretty good. But the main issue right now is these 2 Fireflies are now out, so I'm going to be able to snipe these Stews and allow myself to push into the zone. And just a shit ton of repair bunkers. I count 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, just 4 so far. I think he built more, but they're all getting shelled to death by me. So right now it does look like it's kind of a stalemate with all of these, but me and Jimmy are just slowly pressuring the enemy. But the problem is they don't have this ammo and they don't have this fuel, so they're just slowly but surely being grounded down. I was hoping for a much faster and quicker game, but I mean, this PE player building all these tank traps wanted to play it this way. And so this is the game he's gonna get. So my hope here is also to take this point from the enemy to, again, starve them of population cap so they can't get more units, but also to cap this and stop the enemy player from calling in sector artillery. So what happens, I lose all of my units to a sector artillery, and then immediately my own airburst wipes out all of my infantry. So yeah, they're all gone. I've got nothing left. But the main issue here is that Jimmy needs to push in here and kind of engage the enemy, but the problem is this point, which belongs to the enemy, can allow this PE player to use the sector artillery all the time. Enemy manages to decap this ammo point with the Schwimmwagen, but it still loses its life. Kind of a desperation martyr called off by this PE player. So the hope is to keep this capped out so the enemy can't get ammo, but also to take this point so the PE player can't call in sector artillery on the zone anymore, which leaves Jimmy unmolested when he pushes in here with his tanks. You can't call sector artillery on your own little base zone here, which belongs to his teammate, but he can call it off here in this zone. So it won't work here, but it'll definitely work for this zone, and maybe this zone as well. But on the other hand, I don't know how much ammo the PE player has, and for the most part, PE doesn't really like to spend ammo that much, so they're going to be always saving up a lot of ammo to spend on their sector artillery ability. Or, if you're Luftwaffe, you'll have the anti-tank strafe. I forgot what it's called. Unfortunate, Sherman Firefly gets annihilated. I do happen to cap this ammo back from the enemy, so the PE player has to go through all that bullshit again, trying to retake the zone and just, you know, trying to be really, really annoying as much as possible. So these 25-pounders have really paid for themselves. More tank traps. So as you can see, the Germans were kind of originally kind of here in this zone, trying to hold the enemy, but with all the artillery and Jimmy pushing, they kind of been forced back into this little village here. Though most of the buildings in this village have been knocked down by artillery. And this area looks like the fucking surface of the moon. Schwimmwagen bravely capping. Half-track almost getting wasted by airburst. Nope. Jimmy makes a push in here with his M10s, but all these tank traps again stop them. Tiger is out by Bart, which is going to be a huge threat to deal with. Jimmy's trying to kill this Hummel, but I don't think it's going to happen. There's so much AT in the form of the Martyr, the Panzerschreck, Panzer Grenadiers, the Tiger, and the Panther. And now with these tanks, it's just more ammo for Bart to harvest. Though he spent a lot of his ammo on that manpower blitz, which has kind of kept him in the game so far. So he does have a pretty sizable force. Though again, they've got no fuel, so he's been fuel starved this entire game, which really sucks. Jimmy's now teching into Shermans with the 75, I think it's a 76mm gun. Besides the M10s, just because he needs to deal with these Panzerschreck teams. Because I'm getting Fireflies out right now. And now I'm able to finally cap this point, which is really helpful. And so, with this point capped, I'm just going to do the same thing like I did before. I'm going to use Airburst, and I'm going to place it on the zone, and the enemy's going to have a really rough time trying to take this cap point. Yeah, that's unfortunate. For the PE player, he couldn't take it. And so now we are holding not only this point here with Airburst, so they can't take it. Now we're holding this point as well, and the PE can no longer call in sector artillery. So now Jimmy's path is open with his tanks to make a strike on Bart's base here. So this is putting a lot of pressure on the enemy. So it's not an outright victory, but it's just slowly applying pressure. Smart from the PE player, keeping sight and tabs on Jimmy. I almost lose all my engineers trying to repair this priest. Vampire is still here, spotting all this stuff here. Though this martyr is going to be a serious pain in the ass for me to deal with. And now Jimmy's just destroying all of these tank traps and opening the way for himself. The access. This PE guy is just having the most miserable time of his life. Martyr. Damn, that's a really far range. Martyrs are surprisingly good. I don't see them very often, but they are pretty good in their role. Our scout infantry finally scouts out these stormtroopers. And they almost get wasted. Jimmy's had enough of this martyr. But the Germans really, they just don't have an answer to this airburst. Jimmy's going to push in with all these Shermans now. Firefly's in the back supporting, so they're going to really put the hurt on these Panthers and the Martyrs. Shuka's coming out. Jimmy can take the fight because he knows he's got field repairs that he can put on his tanks. I mean, he's not really struggling for ammo. PE guy doesn't learn his lesson that Shroomwangans are not going to cut it when it comes to taking this point. That's like, what, a 6 fucking Shroomwangan I've seen all game? How much manpower does he have? I mean, he's got plenty of manpower, so he's not really hurting. The only issue for the Germans right now is PopCap. They can't call in anything right now. So there's no second Panther battle group. There's no extra Hummels. Plenty of repair bunkers now. I happen to finally scout out with this recon section and take out the Vampire half track, so the enemy loses their eyes on the point. So right now, this is a real stranglehold for the Germans. Yeah, Bart's also at PopCap. Well, he does have a pretty sizable force. I mean, these stormtroopers are no joke. This Tiger can definitely take on the Shermans. Stukas are pretty annoying to deal with. Yep, here it comes. They're trying to maybe take out this priest, but priest is going to move out of the way. And So now the road is open. All these tank traps are now slowly but surely getting whittled away. He can't really build new tank traps because his infantry is going to get wasted. Martyr goes down. Firefly is going to do their job. Stormtroopers moving out to deal with this threat. And now Jimmy's going to go in through this gap opening. I happen to use smoke from the Cromwell, the command tank, to kind of make Jimmy's passage into enemy territory a lot easier. He does have enough for sector artillery here in this zone, and he does call it. But Jimmy doesn't really care. He's got Allied War Machine, he's got field repairs. Yeah, he's not struggling at all. He's got almost 2,000 manpower. And now this is really looking really desperate for the Germans. I mean, Jimmy's going to lose a lot here, but he's just going to recoup his losses as soon as he can. So, I mean, we're 53 minutes into the game, and it's like, usually at this point you would see Axis really shining in the late game phase and putting the hurt on the Allies, but, you know, with my tactics of airburst and kind of holding these territories, and Jimmy pushing into the tanks, the roles are kind of reversed, where the Germans are really still on the offensive, or on the defensive, and Allies are just, you know, they just keep pushing in and doing as much damage as they can. Tiger still alive. Counter barrage on the Hummel. I'm trying to wipe out all of these repair bunkers with the creeping barrage. Stuka's coming out. The Germans know they can't just keep doing the same thing that they did before, building tank traps and hiding behind their walls. They're going to have to sally forth from their defensive positions and kind of take on me and Jimmy in our little outpost here across the river. So this is the kind of fight that me and Jimmy want. We want the Germans to kind of be uncomfortable and force themselves out of their little defensive stronghold here. And now Jimmy's going to have the time of his life. Again, another Shrewmonging gets wasted. And the tank traps from the PE player fucking blocks his own Panther and his teammates' Tiger. Firefly supporting by a Vet 2 command tank. And now Jimmy's just completely enveloped all these tanks. And they're not going to be able to escape. They're gone. Bart does have enough manpower to replace his Tiger. This PE player does not have the manpower, though, to replace his losses. Suicide Stuka called in. Takes out the Panther. Also takes out the Pershing, but again, with the manpower and the fuel, Jimmy can just replace his losses, so it doesn't really matter as much. But every unit that the Germans are losing at this point now is just something they can't recoup. Panzer Grenadiers is trying to support, but they're getting wasted. Calliopes and Airburst now making their lives miserable. And this P player looking pretty depleted. I mean, he's saving up manpower for another Panther battle group, but he's lost almost all of his infantry because these guys are all fresh recruits. There's no veterancy except for this guy. The only thing that's really survived in the late game is this Vet 3 Hummel, which has been doing some work. But then again, Jimmy's rolling in with the tanks again, supported by Fireflies, and there's really just nothing they can do. And it looks like this PE player finally learned his lesson. He did get a scout car. I think he unplugged his OP from this point with the scout car, and now he's trying to take this point. And so to counter the airburst, this is what you do. The scout car is really the only unit that can kind of cap points under airburst fire. But honestly, though, at this point in the game, I think it's too little too late. Yeah. There's gaps in the anti-tank defense here, so they can't build anything else. Jimmy's just starting to swarm in with his tanks. Again, Allied War Machine. Bart's really under pressure right now. He really needs help from his PE player to call in Panther Battle Group. And I'm shelling the Bart's base at the same time as well. Stu's putting the hurt on the Sherman. Same thing with the Stormtroopers. Stormtroopers have been doing a lot of good work. Tiger gets destroyed. That's very unfortunate. And, I mean, he still has the manpower to call in another Tiger. I mean, he's got manpower blitz still. Sherman gets wasted by Stu. But right now, I mean, Jimmy's depleted a lot of his reserves to kind of force the engagements on the enemy, but again, like I said before, I'm repeating it again and again and again. He's just going to keep piling on more pain on the enemy. And the Germans don't have an answer to these 25-pounders and the priests. I'm going to recap this ammo point. And I really think that's all she wrote. Calliopes are one's Vet 3, one's Vet 1, so they've been doing work. Try to cap, but I lost the infantry in the process. Guy's recapping again, but I'm not letting him do that with the Fireflies because I'm shooting them. There's artillery called down on those Panzergrenadiers, and he loses all of them trying to build these tank traps again. And that's it. He's got no more infantry to call in whatsoever. He's only got 300 manpower. He only has these 2 Panthers and this Hummel. Stormtroopers try to cap, but sadly they get wasted. New Stormtroopers get called off. I'm sure Bart learned his lesson that capping this point's not really gonna happen. He's trying to stealth in there. He's probably gonna try and grab the Panzerschreck and get the hell out of there. Yeah, that's what I would do. And German's looking really grounded down. Double Fireflies are out, but they are supported by a Vet 3 command tank, yep. So these Panthers are really going to have a rough time. Point captured again. Jimmy's got his massive armor and he's coming again. And I think this is the final death blow to the enemy. So this game's over an hour long, but I mean, I'm gonna be honest, it really didn't have to be this long, especially with this PE player playing like this. I mean, if he didn't build these tank traps, I think this game would have ended a lot longer, or would have ended much sooner. But I mean, because this P player built all these fucking tank traps everywhere, it really forced me and Jimmy to kind of go into a war of attrition game plan. Panzer Grenadiers can't get a shot off. They're getting wasted by the priests. Oof. I mean, these priests with the machine guns, they can actually kill infantry pretty decently. Counter barrage from the enemy, trying to get the Firefly. But it's pretty much over. Jimmy killed in the new Tiger that got called in. 4 Sherman supported by a Pershing. It's just not gonna cut it. And yeah, I was pretty salty in this game with all this tank trap bullshit, because, I mean, if I wanted to play a game like this an hour long, I would have just played Scheldt or maybe Atlas River, to be quite honest. Because I usually like to play on open maps, but, you know, people want to play under specific circumstances, and you can't really get a say in what games you want to play. Panther gets wasted by Jimmy's tanks, and that's pretty much it. Yeah, Germans, all they had left was that armored car, Stug, and the Stuka half-tracks from Bart, but, I mean, the Wehrmacht player did as best as he could as Wehrmacht, especially with Blitzkrieg Doctrine, but I don't think that was really the right call, especially against a British player who's just going to go Royal Artillery. I honestly think going defensive doctrine, maybe even terror, would have been better in this circumstance, but he couldn't have known that, to be honest. But in all honesty, though, this match was an hour long mainly because of that PE player just going scorched earth and just tank trapping the entire map as much as he can, which was super annoying. But, you know, taking these 2 points and then putting airburst artillery on them to prevent them from capping really helped grind the enemy down. And so I hope you guys all enjoyed watching this game of Allies kind of winning the late game war against Germans who are really trying to bide their time. You know, Germans usually do perform a lot better in the late game phase, but it doesn't necessarily make them invincible. It just makes them harder to kill. But they can be killed. So I hope you all guys enjoyed, and I will see you guys on the next replay.